We're here today with Ben Peel from John Roberts Botanic Request, a fantastic gin from the suburbs of Leeds. How you doing, Ben?
I'm great, thanks for having us.
Happy days, so welcome being here. Do you want to start telling me a bit about yourself?
Yeah.
A little bit about your past, a little bit about what you've done.
Well, where do I start? So I used to be a bartender for many years, and I find when you meet bartenders, it's always 15 years in the industry. So I've been bartending kind of since I left school through pubs and bars and stuff like that. And I started to reach an age where I wanted to get off the bar, but stay within the industry. And I managed to get myself a job at Sipsmith as an assistant distiller. Served my time there, or got my wings as a distiller. And kind of produced and distilled their core range until I saw a niche within the company that they needed a dedicated new product distiller.
Nice.
And I guess from the creativity of cocktails and stuff like that, I had a good grasp for pairing flavours and stuff, and I naturally went towards that sort of way.
So you were able to put your creativity and the science that you've just learned from distilling all together. Oh, happy days.
Nice. So I pitched for the role of innovation manager, and I became their first ever dedicated new product distiller, which was pretty cool. And then after some time designing and developing spirits for Sipsmith, I decided to sadly leave and start my own brand and own distillery. So we used to live on a boat in London. We sold the boat, hightailed it back to Yorkshire, where I'm from, and also, obviously we say where the pound goes a little further. And we moved back to West Yorkshire, and we built our own little distillery, liquid lab, and where we could hone our skills and develop our flagship London Dry Gin.
Nice, brilliant. So obviously, in quite a saturated market, what was why choose gin? What did you want to do differently to everyone else?
Well, this is it. You hear a lot of stories on, did the world need another gin? Yes, it did. What we do is we quit our jobs and we decided to, innovation's all about problem solving, and that's something I learned at Sipsmith. You find a problem, and you reverse engineer how to fix that problem. And what we looked at within the industry is that the traditional ways of distilling have been the same way for hundreds of years. You boil alcohol, separate alcohol from botanicals, and the problem we spotted was, should all botanicals be boiled and stewed and treated the same? And we soon realised the answer is no. So we thought, if we're going to join the gin table of thousands of gins, we should be doing something different. Otherwise, there's no point pulling up a chair to the table. So we crafted and created some unique processes in flavour extraction.
All right, nice. How did you do that then?
Well, we looked to other sciences on how to remove stuff from stuff and see how we can borrow. We're always learning new things and exploiting new technologies. So what we do is we take our botanical recipe, 11 botanicals that are familiar to gin making. We don't climb a mountain for a rare berry or go to the bottom sea for some rare algae or anything like that. There are 11 classic botanicals, but we extract from them in different ways and methods, depending on the botanical. So we split them into two categories. One being hardy, like if it's a seed, a dried root, a bark, then it needs a bit more of a vigorous treatment. So we give it hell, basically. We put it into a big vacuum chamber, and we pull immense vacuum pressure on it until these very dry, hardy botanicals almost implode and express oils. And the cool thing is, when we put the pressure back, they suck in alcohol. So we essentially are washing out the cells and cavities of these really hardy botanicals very fastly. Our delicate botanicals, if it's a leaf, a herb, a zest, a flower, we treat them as a delicate. And what they do is they see no heat, and we put them into an ultrasonic sound bath that gives it like a gentle surface abrasion. Removes all the oils from the pores, the tannins, but doesn't damage the botanical. And what we find is it prevents unwanted astringencies and bitter notes getting into our bottle. So it's almost like stopping unwanted flavours and empowering the flavours that we want. We reunite these to then distill in a classic traditional way.
That's pretty cool. I've seen that before in food elements, so using low and high sound waves to basically aggravate the botanicals or aggravate the ingredients.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And so you've got quite a long name.
Yeah, me personally or the brand? Or...
Obviously your name's not even on it.
Yeah.
So the brand name. So tell me a little bit about that.
So John Roberts Botanic Request is a bit of a double-barreled name, and they both have two slight different feels to them. So the Botanic Request comes from the Rolling Stones, Their Majesty's Satanic Request album, and that was their first ever, believe it or not, self-produced album from leaving a major label.
Yeah.
And being a muso myself and stuff like that, I felt that really resonated with me after leaving a major brand like Sipsmith. And this would be my first ever sort of self-produced album, my first self-produced brand. And rather than having the Satanic Request on my bottle, we just changed the word to Botanic Request, you know, a little play into the botanical element of the spirit.
Nice.
And the John Roberts side is it actually is my name on the bottle. It's my middle name. I'm a Benjamin John Robert Peel. My father's a John Robert and my grandfather's a John Robert. And the brand itself is, because we make it in such a unique way, we celebrate uniqueness, and it's what makes you, you. It's what makes me, me. It's our personality, and we want to empower people to embrace what makes them unique. And if you've ever met my father or my grandfather, they're quite eccentric and don't shy in being themselves. So I thought it was just a nice little touch.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So looking at the label, obviously you've got a lightning bolt going through it. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, we wanted an imagery that we could own, so to speak. Obviously, it's available in the emoji text. Yeah. It's a common sort of character. It's the Flash, but my co-founder, Emily Nielsen, she is Swedish, and it's a little nod to the Swedish mythology of Thor. Also in Greek, Zeus did the same, and wherever they used to throw their lightning bolts, the people of Earth used to build churches, and it was deemed as holy ground. And we like to think wherever we place our little lightning bolts becomes holy ground to us.
That's really cool. Yeah. That's really cool. So you've managed to put your own personal twist on it all without it being too heavily in a consumer space. Yeah,
there's loads of hidden little stories within the label which I could talk about for hours.
I like that. That's cool. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So you mentioned botanical-wise. So what's your main? Obviously, you talked about hard and soft botanicals. So what main botanicals do you use in this? So
in gin making, it's not about just throwing, well, sometimes it is, just throwing botanicals in a still and by luck you might get a good gin. But there's difference between a good gin and a great gin. Everybody can make a curry, but not everybody can make a great curry. And what you understand is your botanicals are tools and they all do certain things to the liquid. It's not just flavour, it's mouthfeel, it's texture, it's viscosity. And some botanicals are there not for flavour but to empower and enhance other botanicals, like salt to soup. You don't taste salt, it enhances tomato, right?
So quite a few gins use things like orris root and angelica root to bind flavours.
Exactly. So in gin making there's a thing called the famous five: juniper, coriander seed, orris, angelica and licorice. These are your onions, tomatoes, garlic of stock making. And if you're going to make something a bit more floral, you'll raise the orris root.
Yeah.
If you're going to make something a bit more spice, you'll raise the angelica root and pull back the others. And they're like your faders, you know, to music.
So sweetness with licorice.
Exactly. So you've obviously classic London dry, juniper always forward, coriander for citrus. Once you know where you're going to go, you will change that stock, and then you'll start bringing in your guest botanicals, so to speak. So we have tea, black tea for dryness, because obviously we want you to take another sip. We have anise in there, not to taste like sambuca, but just enough. There's a compound in anise that gives a metallic feel on your tongue.
More pastis in flavour than sambuca.
You get this sort of stimulation on your tongue, a little electric kind of feel.
Nice.
We have lemon and orange peel for sweet citrus and sour citrus to balance it out. We have green cardamom, not for spice, but for that gives a creamy viscosity to a liquid. In gin distilling, it's normally nuts.
So almond normally.
Almond, hazelnut, nutmeg. With almond, it doesn't bring as much flavour, it just brings the viscosity. So we get a bit of a warming spice from the cardamom as well.
So you still get that aromatic note coming through as well?
Yeah, it's almost a little eucalyptus type sort of vibe. And then we have cassia bark, which is Chinese cinnamon.
Yeah.
It's a sweet cinnamon. It's the cinnamon that you and I get from the supermarket, but it's really cassia bark because it's sweeter on the palate. And I've done them all in a different order to our usually listening, but that should be 11 botanicals there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, are you happy to taste?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll pour you some up. In fact, I can't wait for you to try it. Lovely. This is where I'm Got the gin shakes because we're on camera. Lovely. So there should be nice spice notes on the nose, a little bit of citrus on there.
You're still getting an element of, obviously I know that you can't smell sweetness, but you're getting that licorice coming through as an element of sweetness, as just to balance that citrus note.
Yeah, well, obviously you'll know when you're smelling, you are actually tasting as well, because the compounds go around your mouth, they get on your tongue, and you can get that kind of sweet notes in there. And then on the palate. So there should be a nice viscosity there. We say a good spirit warms, a bad spirit strips, and it should be very warming.
Very much so.
I'm so glad you didn't go just as I said that statement, you know. Yeah. So we set out to create a very warming spirit, and how you do that is by removing the impurities. And we have a lot of copper in our process, and when we built our stills, we built them to behave how we want them to behave. So the original still was sending out alcohol that was still very hot.
Yeah.
So we kept adding copper reflux chambers.
I think the point is that you still get an element of heat, but from the spices, not from the actual alcohol.
Yeah.
So that's across the palate, and you're feeling it on your tongue. Whereas I've always been with tasting spirits. If I feel the warmth in my chest, that's a good sign.
Yeah, nice and warming.
But you're getting the flavour and you're getting the heat from the spices, but you get a nice, again, beautiful viscosity, nice and thick. Really, really sticks to your palate.
I was going to say there should be some lingering notes there, because if
long finish.
If you're going to make a martini or something like that, it's got to have personality and character. You don't want it just to fall flat as you're drinking, you see. So we wanted to, like I say, a good tail end on there.
Nice.
And then now you should have these nice little anise notes. So if you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, you get this almost like little metallic-y kind of taste. You know, like you would not so much as a battery, but that sort of essence. You know.
Of course. What's the ABV on this?
So, well, it should be 41%. I know it's 41%. Yeah, 41%.
No, it's good. For that slightly higher ABV, you don't get that alcoholic heat, which is really nice.
No, thank you. Yeah,
really nice.
I guess down to the processes and techniques that we use towards distilling.
But you're picking up the citrus, you're picking up that sweet finish and slight metallic note coming through. You've got that lovely heat and spice from the botanicals, and then obviously the nice warmth from the ABV as well, but without that burning sensation that you get with some other spirits.
Well, the great thing is as well, you know, we're tasting it at the strength we intend it to taste. So ABV, different flavours shine at different ABVs, right? Of course, so this is what we wanted to showcase. But when you put it with a fantastic tonic that allows the gin to shine, you're changing the ABV and you start getting more citrus notes because you've dampened it down a bit. If you turn it to a martini where it's still a bit punchier but still dampened, you get more tea notes come through. So it kind of changes its complexity on how you serve it, which is really good. Yeah,
well, I think this, for me, Franklin & Son's natural light tonic water would work great for this, because it would really bring out that citrus note as well. The sugar content is slightly less, so you're still getting that balance from the licorice and sweetness coming through from there. So I think that would work amazingly well. I'm going to get you behind the bar to make a drink soon.
Right,
but
lovely.
Before I do, obviously you used to be a bartender, but you're also about to open up your own bar now.
Well, it's funny you say that. So we, coming from an innovation background, we're always hurling up ideas, and we need, I guess, test beds to be able to try out these ideas. We can't be just bringing out. We're not a gin brand that's rolling out with 20 flavours in its first year. We're very tight with our portfolio and what we want to bring out, but we don't want these ideas to go to waste. So we are relocating our distillery to Sunnybank Mills in Farsley. We've got a larger distillery to help supply the demand, but adjacent to it, we're going to have like a glass wall, and then we're opening up what will be called test bar, similar to what a test kitchen is to a chef. Where we can make our wildest dreams in the distillery and serve them up in the glass the next day, and change the menu and stuff.
That's a cool idea.
But it's a good idea now. We're thinking it can go beyond that. We can try different menu concepts. We can try local produce for the additional ingredients outside of our gin for cocktails, and bring in other bartenders. You know, if they want to test a menu but don't want to test it on their bar, they can come over here, and vice versa. So it's going to be like a nice
little takeovers and all sorts of stuff like that.
So a good creative hub for liquid innovation or liquid gastronomy or whatever it's going to be. You know.
Are Are you worried at all with this current energy crisis that we're all looking at?
Because obviously when we signed on the dotted line for all this, there wasn't an energy crisis. So it is very worrying. We're seeing friends within hospitality, especially around Leeds, that are being transparent with their bills and showing the industry what's going on. And there's some friends that were paying £1,200 a quarter as now £7,000 a quarter.
Yeah.
And this is not a chain that can sort of absorb these sort of costs. They're small, independent business, so it is very, very, very worrying.
Yeah, I've seen some shocking examples of 700% uptake, and a restaurant in Beverley which went from under 3,000 per year to 22.5 grand.
Yeah.
There's a cafe in Leicester that went from 10 grand to 55 grand. I mean,
that's just one element of it. What we've noticed as well is in fuel costs, glass costs, paper costs for labels, caps. All these little costs add up, and for a small business, it is consuming what is the profit margin for a small business. And the mad thing is, the bigger businesses get it cheaper because they buy bulk. There should be a sliding scale on if a small business should be able to reach them sort of price points to empower small business and innovation but at the moment it seems to be the bigger companies get it cheaper, the smaller companies have to pay more to play in this area and then get stung more on the other side with the bills and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of it's disgusting really, but
it's difficult. It's definitely hard. It's going to be a hard few years.
Yeah,
but the one benefit of being a smaller company is that your passion helps be able to push you through all of this.
Yeah. Well, again, we see that in industry. There's people that are still fighting it head on, and it's sad when you see an institute close down and stuff. And there's only so much berating and beating a small business can take. You know what I mean? And I'm worried on the long term stuff of the industry of how it's going to tackle it. We've got stills to run, some people have griddles, ovens, fridges to run, all that kind of stuff.
They're on all time.
So they're on all the time, yeah.
Well, let's hope there's, at some point,
fingers
a
crossed,
bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, or some help from the government, or some sort of, I'm no politician, but I hope there's something from that.
All right, perfect.
Lovely.
All right, mate. Well, you up for making a drink?
Yeah, super keen.
Happy days, let's go.
Good stuff.
Okay, buddy, so what are we making?
I'm going to make you a couple of exceptional G&Ts using our John Roberts Botanic Request London Dry Gin and with Franklin's Natural Light Tonic Water.
Beautiful.
Give me a second. So we've got a double measure of London Dry Gin.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Always a double.
Yeah. Unless stated otherwise. And the key to a good G&T, I've said this hundreds of times, is plenty ice. There's nothing more frustrating than floating ice and stuff like that, because you gotta keep that gin and tonic cold, right?
Well, it's the bartender's best tool.
Yeah, ice.
Yeah, it's the bartender's best tool. And I think the problem is that you get with a lot of, from a consumer point of view, people think we're cheating you out of the spirit, but you see the measure, it's 50 mil.
Oh, we get it all the time. Less ice, I think they're getting more gin. They're just getting a warm mixer. Warmer drinker mixer. So we're going to fill up to the top. We're going to leave a nice window. We normally do like 50 mil gin, 150 mil tonic. That's a ratio we go because we really want the gin to come through. And the reason we choose Franklin's Light Tonic is some tonics out there concentrate on being heavy in quinine and flavour. And what I like about Franklin's is it kind of complements the gin and lets the gin shine.
Beautiful.
So we take a little spoon, and what we want to do is just lift that spirit without flattening the tonic, because you just don't want all the gin sat on the bottom. And we have two serves of our gin and tonic. We have our simple serve, just a simple lemon zest. We don't want a lemon wedge or lemon juice in there, as it's an additional ingredient.
Using the aromatic of the lemon rather than the juice.
Exactly. We're adding aroma to the drink rather than flavour to the drink. And then we have our exceptional serve, which is dill. Now, the reason we choose dill is, one, it smells beautiful. It's high in D-limonene. D-limonene pairs with lemon, which is limonene, and it's a big flavour compound that's within our gin. So what I've not mentioned before is the botanicals we choose all relate on a flavour compound level. So there's nothing in there that shouldn't be in there. And the one thing that could go in there without mixing up the harmony is dill. We tried that in the MPD stages and we realised it's the aroma that we want of it. So we kept it for our garnish.
Awesome, nice.
Lovely. So you've got, there you go.
Thank
John
you
Roberts,
very much.
Botanic Request, exceptional G&T.
Beautiful. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Salud.
Salud. Delicious, if I may say so myself.
No, stunning. Light, refreshing, and that dill just brings it to life on the nose.
Yeah, as you're slurping in, it comes round and just really complements it.
That's awesome, man.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a bottle so you can put it through its paces, make a couple of drinks, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.
No, I'm looking forward to that, mate. I've got a few ideas already, so that's brilliant. Thanks for coming down today.
You're welcome. Thank you for
having me.
Absolute
pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
So Ben's been very kind in giving me a bottle of his gin from the John Roberts Botanic request. So what I'm going to do is play around with his perfect serve that he did earlier and create a really cool fizz. So we're going to use 50 mils of John Roberts Botanic request with Franklin & Sons elderflower and cucumber tonic, a little bit of dill, taking inspiration again from his highball, and then we're also going to take inspiration from Tom earlier and use a super juice using citric acid mixed in with the lime zest and then juice added later. So let's get started. We're going to go in with 25 milliliters of egg white, 25 milliliters of super juice, and then for balance I'm going to use 15 ml of sugar syrup, and of course a good measure 50 ml of John Roberts Botanic Request gin. I'm going to give that a dry shake with one single ice cube. That's to aerate the egg white and to get that foam really working. Once that single ice cube stops rattling, we're ready to shake again, full of ice, to create that dilution and to chill the drink. Beautiful. So, take a nice tall glass and fine strain that mixture, catching all the little shards of ice that we've broken while shaking. And then we're going to top with the elderflower and cucumber tonic from Franklin & Sons. All the way to the top. The foam will hold it. And then I didn't use dill inside the drink. What I want to do is just get that little note coming through from the garnish. So here I have a nice little sprig of fresh dill that I'm just gonna gently pop on the top like so. And there we have our Botanic Request fizz.